I don't know if it starts officially.
I think we just do it. I don't think we care, right?
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock now.
Let's just go for it. Hey guys, thank you ever so much for attending the Corridor Digital Talk at South by Southwest. Put your hands together, give it up for Corridor Digital. Woo!
Hey guys, what's up? Quick question: How many of the people here are familiar with our YouTube channel? All right, that's pretty good.
That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Nico.
I'm Sam.
And so we run a YouTube channel, Corridor Digital. And today we're going to be talking about a little bit of the history behind our channel, but more so like what it actually takes to run a YouTube channel and like the things that we try to do with our videos, and I guess what it takes to be a filmmaker on the internet.
Pretty much.
So the best thing to start with is to kind of tell you guys how we got started, because that's a question we get a lot. You know, or I guess I should say, at this point, Corridor Digital is like the 93rd most subscribed channel on YouTube.
Yeah, that's okay. We can do better.
We have a little over 1.5 million subscribers and like 150 million something video views.
Yeah.
Those are some statistics for you. Just pull the mic closer to your face.
Is that better?
Yeah,
I think yours is a little louder than mine, so I have
the
to yell.
microphone. Like you're trying to eat the microphone.
Okay. No, if you
that's
cup it like
the
this,
technique.
like all the sound waves travel right into the mic.
So yeah, so we got started, like, Sam and I started making videos and films when we were 14 years old in junior high school. We started with a Star Wars fan film, which is like the perfect start for learning how to do effects and editing and all that kind of stuff. Because, you know, it had like 3D models with space battles and it had lightsabers.
Yeah. 3 months worth of lightsabers, frame by frame. That was before we knew how to use like After Effects. So we'd literally just draw on each lightsaber, frame by frame. Terrible.
In Photoshop.
Great learning experience.
Yeah. But that was kind of our first foray into like digital video and editing. And we realized something at the time, which was there was programs coming out that enabled us to do visual effects on our home computers. And we stuck with it, and we knew that if we stuck with it, we'd just keep getting better and better as those programs got better and better. And on top of that, considering we were just basically 14-year-old kids, we didn't have any resources aside from a camera and, I don't know, maybe a car once in a while.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to do anything that was creative or beyond what we already had, we had to create it on the computer. So that was kind of like our inciting factor for getting into visual effects way back when.
Yeah. That pretty much continued out all through high school. Went to college, kept doing it. Things kept getting better. Like HD finally comes out when we're in college. About 8 years ago now. But yeah. And then what's next?
Well, so basically, yeah. So throughout college, we kept making videos, and we ended up out in Los Angeles because we were working on a low-budget monster movie. A company had seen some of our sci-fi martial arts VFX stuff that we were making back in school, and they're like, hey, you guys want to take some money and go shoot a monster movie for us that'll go direct to DVD to like Europe? And we're like, yes. So we did that and moved out to LA where we started doing post-production. And real quick, how many of you guys are familiar with the Freddie W channel? All right, cool. So Brandon, who's one half of the Freddie W channel, he's a friend of ours from Stillwater, which is a small Minnesota town that we come from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon had met Freddie at USC, and when we moved out to Los Angeles to work on that film, we all moved in together and all did post-production on that film together for like 10 months. So Freddie was doing the music, and Brandon was doing some effects, and I was doing some effects, and Sam was doing like editing, and I mean, we basically, all of us did everything on that movie and then finished it. And after we were done with that is when Freddie and Brandon actually started the Freddie W channel. In the meantime, Sam and I started doing freelance VFX so we could actually make some money. And once we had enough of that saved up, we launched our channel, which is the beginning of Corridor Digital.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I think a lot of the people here are going to be wondering, like, they've got their own YouTube channels, and they're like, okay, we start a YouTube channel, but that doesn't mean that it's going to get like the millions of views and subscribers you guys have got. So how did you go about doing that? What made that happen?
Yeah, well, the biggest challenge with any YouTube channel really is getting exposure, because like if you're working for a studio or a TV series or something like that, they have marketing, but you don't have any marketing when you're making YouTube videos. So yeah, it's a good question. How do you go about getting that exposure?
Yeah, and I mean, like really, when it comes to exposure, like YouTube is kind of like a meritocracy, where it's like as long as you're putting like passion, energy, and like that kind of stuff into the content, you know, it shows. And essentially like, you know, like the first steps are, you know, you want to go for vlogs, you want to go for like, you know, the front page of YouTube, go through their system because that's what the average user sees most often. And essentially, like the trick to making it go viral though is essentially, you know, taking the common experience that everyone can relate to and putting your twist on it. And that can be anything from, if you have like a music channel, you can write a song about whatever, you know, so you can do songs about video games, you can do like stuff like we do where we do like VFX action scenes that are related to video games. There's so many niches that people cover, but you know, you just kind of have to pick that one and hopefully it's something that people haven't seen before.
Yeah, basically, as long as you take something that people have a common experience with and give it a new twist, that's like the first step to making something go viral.
Yeah.
So it's depending on that viral spread of videos along with those blogs and YouTube front page. That's how you get that exposure. That's how you get out there. Like for us, the first viral video we had, which is oddly enough on Freddie's channel, was our Modern Warfare Frozen Crossing fan films. And that's a perfect example of like the formula for making a viral video. It took a common experience, which was the Modern Warfare games that everybody was playing. I mean, everybody still plays them. And it added a new twist. Nobody had done a Modern Warfare fan film yet. I mean, maybe to a certain degree, but no one had actually gone out and like built full costumes and done it all with, you know, high-level gun effects and all that kind of stuff. So we took that common experience, gave it that new twist, the cinematic, you know, I guess, approach, which we do with a lot of our stuff, and then it went viral.
Okay, but now here's a question. So, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of what Corridor Digital does is based around video games. And of course, being at a gaming expo, that's kind of awesome. But they've actually had a lot of success outside of video games as well, which obviously if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously the formula we kind of rely upon is taking the experience of video games. I mean, we're huge gamers, but you don't have to make video game themed films to get them shared. It just so happens that gamers are very active, you know, participant in the online video space.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like YouTube. I mean, the majority of YouTube users are like teenagers, you know, 14, 15 years old, and like, especially males too. And it's like, what is the most popular thing in that age group? Video games. So it's like, it's perfect for YouTube.
But yeah, so like Adam was asking, not everything has to be video game related. You know, for example, on our channel, like I think Dubstep Guns is a good example of a video that we made that went viral that isn't video game related. And it goes back to that kind of formula of a common experience. Everybody's familiar with dubstep. And so we took that common experience and added a little bit of a twist, which was we had laser guns that shot out lasers that reacted to dubstep. So everybody identifies with the core concept and then enjoys that surprise of what we do with it. So, and then you'll see other channels, I mean, they're completely unrelated to the stuff that we do that still get that viral exposure, and it's that same thing. It speaks to something that everybody wants, like everybody kind of is familiar with, everybody wants to know more of, and it just gives that creative spark, that, you know, new little twist on it,
yeah,
that makes people want to show it.
Like, who's taking my socks? The Munchkins, and they're taken from my cats. And then we made a video about that, and it did okay.
What I think is really impressive is I've got to know Corridor Digital over the years and got to work with them on a number of different projects. And it always amazes me that your production value is always incredibly high. I mean, some of the production value we see on your YouTube channel rivals a lot of the really bad movies that I watch at home on Netflix. You know, it's like it's really impressive stuff. So like, what are some of the techniques that have enabled you to do that and yet keep the budgets down much lower than the millions of dollars that get spent on movies like Anaconda 3, which is, you know, I watch. Don't judge me.
No, great movie.
Okay. Well, this is kind of the core of our channel, I guess. I think what we try to make our work, how we try to make our work special kind of comes down to this question, in all honesty. Because Sam and I got into making films because we want to do dramatic narratives. We want to move on to eventually do film and television and bigger budget, longer stories. But the question is, you know, how do you get there? If you're sitting there in high school or college, or even have just graduated from college, the question is, how do I get from where I am to having a film in a theater? And you can try to navigate the studio system with all the executives and the funding and the contracts and the agencies, and it's really hard, it's really dense, it's a foreign world to the vast majority of people. I mean, to two guys that came from a town of 20,000 people in Minnesota, it's like, you know, we don't really know where to begin. So that's where the nice thing with YouTube came in, is because it's, like Sam said, well, it's kind of a meritocracy, but it lets you go directly to your audience. There's nobody else except for your viewers. So you need to make content that your audience wants to watch and it's entirely dependent on how well you're connecting with them. But to go more specifically to the production quality thing, what we tried to do to make it special is that we tried to get that movie look. We tried to get that cinematic look in our YouTube videos. And it's after years and years and years of doing that practice and research and experiments with our videos that we kind of started figuring something out. So it's kind of a big list of things, but we'll kind of go through it and it'll give you guys an idea of what it takes to make, or basically it gives you an idea of how accessible this stuff can be as long as you kind of get all those tools in place. So one second, I kind of have a list on my computer. I'm going to scroll to it. All right. Sam, why don't you start with the things that we do to make our stuff look professional?
All right. Well, adding a crap load of VFX definitely helps because usually that looks a lot better than whatever you filmed. But like, I mean, a lot of things that people perceive as like a really, you know, big budget movie, a really expensive movie is, I think a lot of it comes down to like camera work. Like when you have a big film set, you have huge like cranes, you have dollies, you can make the camera spin around in any direction you want. Obviously when you're doing like CG work or completely 3D work, there's no camera, so it's a lot easier to do it. But when you don't have that like amount of people and the budget and resources to do it, like the first step is trying to recreate that. And like obviously recently there's been a lot of really good like lens stabilization technology, but also like just footage stabilization. And so one thing we try and utilize as much as possible is just, you know, let the camera move. Because when you're watching a video or when you're watching a piece, if you can see like movement in the scene, like you get a full understanding of the environment. And that looks a lot cooler than any like locked off static shot. So that's pretty much like the most basic thing you can do just to get the raw footage looking good.
Yeah, one of the other things that we do is we always color grade our work. Because we're shooting stuff so fast, we have such a tight turnaround, and honestly we have small budgets, we don't have the resources to bring in a lighting crew with like, you know, $10,000 lights lined up everywhere running off of 5 giant generators. It's all either lit with like our home lights or maybe like an LED panel. And color grading is kind of where you can take that footage and really take it to the next step because it gives you most of the tools on the computer to work with what you have. And it takes a little bit of practice to know like kind of how to maximize your footage for color grading. But you can even take iPhone footage, bring it to the computer, manipulate the colors and get more of that pro look out of, you know, basically any camera you're using. And it's actually at this point now, the company Blackmagic makes a program called DaVinci Resolve. And it used to be like $20,000, requires specific hardware, and they use it on almost every movie. And then they're like, you know what we should do? We should make our program free and run it on PCs, so everybody can start using it, so that when if they like it and they grow up to be professional, they can ideally license it from us. So we use that now, and it's a totally accessible tool. Anyone can go out there and start using DaVinci, and you sit down and you just craft your footage. You push the colors, you work with your contrast, you can kind of rework the lighting. You can just take your footage and make it look like you sat there on set with a I don't know, $80,000 camera and like tweaked all your lights and had your little eyepiece. But that's not what it's like at all, but it looks like that. And that's the trick, is you want that look without all that work.
So one of the things that amazes me about your work is I'll come over to your house on like a Monday and you're like, hey, we're gonna film today. I'm like, great, I'll be there. And then I'll see you guys eating bagels, planning the script. Like, planning the script on the day of shooting. When you talk about how you guys are so efficient and how you put that together.
Okay. Sure, go for it, Sam.
I mean, the reason we're eating those bagels is because, like, when we're discussing stuff, usually, because we work closely together. Now, I mean, this is just something, you know, a relationship that we built over the last few years because we made so many, like, pieces together. But, being able to plan for the final product is an amazing time saver. And what I mean by that, though, is that since we're like writing and shooting, directing, and then editing, and then doing VFX, sound, music, whatever, like we're very able to quickly realize, you know, what is that final product? You know, what are we like actually going to end up with here when we hit record? And like considering that process is definitely one thing that is a huge time saver, and also just eases that discussion and that just creation on the day of shooting and stuff.
Yeah, one of my friends, he got hired to do some effects work on a student film, and the guy basically, he wanted him to add a bunch of bullet holes to a car. And at the basic level, adding a bullet hole is not necessarily that hard. You find a picture of a bullet hole, and you stick it on the car. Now, things can get more complicated when you have things like a moving camera, weird lighting-like conditions, or people moving back and forth in front of it. And so, for example, because Sam and I shoot all our stuff, and we also do all the effects work and have a full understanding of the entire workflow, if we had to do a shot like that, we would know how to set up the camera, how to set up the people, and how to set up the shot, so we don't have to put a lot of work into adding a bullet hole to the car. What this guy had to deal with was a camera that's moving around with a lot of motion blur, with like 3 people moving back and forth in front of the car. And at the end of the day, the narrative impact is the same. You have bullet holes on a car. But one version took this guy days to do, whereas if we shot it, we could have the effect done in about 20 minutes. And it's all just simply what you have in the shot. Like, I'll see shots in professional films where, for some reason, they decide to have like a tree or a bush like waving around in front of their CG object, meaning that some artist had to sit down and frame by frame outline every single leaf on that tree so they could put it in front of their CG object. We've never made that mistake, and we will hopefully never make that mistake. But those are simple things that, just knowing the process, you don't make those mistakes and you save yourself a ton of time.
So do you guys have an example of like how long it typically takes you to go from like start to finish on like a film or a project you've worked on?
Yeah, actually, we've brought you guys a video that we're working on right now. It'll be out on Tuesday, and it's a perfect example of like the quick turnaround video that we do for our YouTube channel, because frequency is important. If you aren't putting out constant content, people are going to start to kind of forget about you, and you're not going to build that audience you need to make a living on YouTube. Because, I mean, to jump back real quick, you know, it's all view-based. You make your ad revenue based on how many views you get. So if you're not building an audience and you're not getting content out there, you're not going to be able to support yourself off the ad revenue. But we have a good example of a corridor digital video here with us. We came up with the idea last week, Thursday. We were on set for Freddie and Brandon, helping them out with VGHS and season 2. And there's an idea that's been floating around in our heads for a little while. It was just an effects idea. It was like, what if we took googly eyes, like the kind that you get little stickers, and what if we put it on footage? It's like, that'd be a funny effect. But you can't just have an effect. You need context around it. You need to give it meaning, because otherwise it's just an effect. It's not a video. So on Thursday, we came up with the idea of how we could actually go about making this a video. With the idea, basically, there's a guy working at a TV station. They're running the news, and he's sitting there bored, waiting for them to go live, and he starts flipping through filters on his computer screen. We'll show it, but
the only thing I'm gonna preface this by though is we shot this on Monday, and it's not done. So I hope that at least adds to the like comedic effect of it. So
wait, I want to be very clear. Sam was editing it on the bus on the way from the Austin Convention Center to here about an hour and a half ago. Straight up, I was sitting there watching him do this.
All right.
Here, I'm gonna keep going though. Let me keep going.
Keep going.
So
don't spoil it.
I won't. Don't spoil. Oh, that's true. No spoilers. Well, okay. I'm not gonna go too deep into the story, but yeah, we'll break down how we shot it. So we came up with the outline on Thursday. Wrote a little like script / shot outline / moments list. We actually kind of do something we call a moments list for our videos. People have storyboards or shot lists. We just write down moments that we need to make sure we capture, and then we'll kind of feel it out as we go to make sure we have angles covering those moments. So we shot it Monday night in our apartment. Tuesday we edited it. We came up with a way to do the effect that was quick and easy to turn around, almost like just a little bit of a factory where you like take the footage file, run it through the various filters and plugins and stuff, and then finish the effects basically on Friday, and then did the sound this morning.
Right now.
Right now. So it's a perfect example of like a fast turnaround, but you'll get to see like kind of the extent to which you can get a piece to look. So I think the best thing to do at this point is probably just to show it. We'll kind of show you guys the before and after as well. So if you want to flip over to the laptop feed, we'll pull up the video.
That's the cue. I hope it's loud enough.
Yeah.
Now, what's important to understand is that Don't! What the hell are you doing? Will I in 5 seconds?
That's not done.
Do a Jedi mind meld with these folks and convince them.
So there you have it.
It's a little weird.
But yeah, quick concept. I guess relatively easy to do effects that look decent, I guess. Just pump it out.
Yeah.
So Sam's gonna pull up the edit here. We can actually kind of show you guys how we went about shooting it and kind of putting it together.
What I love about hanging out with these guys, you go over to their house and look what we just filmed. And you'll see this footage like some guy who's reacting to something that's not there, or killing some space, there's nothing there, or Obama looking at the screen but his eyes are just normal. And you're like, dude, what am I looking at? And they go, imagine him with googly eyes. And I'm like, how? How do I do that? And then these guys are like, don't worry about it. As part of that effect, you were talking about it, but I don't know if they got the idea. You actually pre-built the googly eye filter. I mean, you legitimately made that.
Yeah, so one of the things we need to do, we need to turn around an effect really fast. We need to come up with a workflow where it's kind of something where it's, he said at a certain point we kind of just become robots where we're just processing the footage and there's nothing crazy that we need to do. There's no sit down trying to figure out how we can be artistic about it. We just need to process the footage. So in this case, with the googly eyes, the first thing we did was we built the eye itself in a 3D program and made it so we could do a physics simulation on the little black part that jiggles around. So you move the eye around, the little black part would jiggle around, and it worked just like a real googly eye. So the next step was to get some tracking data from the person's face, which at the end of the day is basically you just load up your video, put a little thing on the face to highlight it, and you say, track that. And the computer gives you some animation that matches the face. And then you just stick the googly eye on it, do the physics simulation, and render it. And that's all we really had to do. And there's some, there's some more specific little technical things in there, but at that point we had our system figured out, and it was just shot after shot after shot, just running it through the steps to pump out the effects as fast as we could. So, Sam, why don't you go ahead and well, let me just, real quick, we have a term for visual effects. We call it CG goggles. So we'll be on set, and we'll be getting a shot of an open field, and somebody will be looking over our shoulder and be like, what are you doing? This is the world's worst shot. It's a weird frame of this field. And no, you need to have CG goggles on, because with CG goggles, you can see that there's a giant missile shooting out of the middle of it going up into the air. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's just
whatever.
It's a more niche term for just saying use your imagination. But,
yeah. So this is a good example of CG goggles, because if you watch the edit without any effects, it's Clint basically sitting at his desk freaking out about nothing, and then turning around and going, ah, into the camera with nothing on his face.
could we just get the video feedback? No, we don't need audio, but just the video.
All right, so here's our edit. Is this without effects? Your mic's off. You want my mic? Okay, so this is without effects here. You can see I have the green screen footage dropped in. And the piece hadn't been color graded yet either, so right now it's just the lighting that we did with it in our apartment. We have some text to kind of tell us what we're doing for timing purposes. And in order to kind of get our apartment to look a little bit more like an office, we had all the other computer screens playing just generic news broadcasts. Trusty green screen to get things look like a news program. This is a template you can buy online for a generic news opening. So the challenge also for this part is we want to use footage that we didn't own, but you can get away with using government footage, or iconic moments from films. You can use these things for, I guess, comedic purposes and not necessarily get in trouble. And then also, like, this is from another YouTube channel. I just asked for the guy's permission to use his car footage. And yeah, this part's just the shots without anything on them. So there you go. You feel really goofy when you're like acting against CG objects without any like CG in the shot. Like the best example is when we did Potion Overdose, which is where Sam and I are wizards having a battle with potions, and we drink too many potions, so we started vomiting magic potion puke.
Yeah, but we didn't have any actual liquids or barf or anything, so it's just us there just with our mouths open, just screaming at the top of our lungs for an entire day.
Yeah, there's like a homeless guy that was like in the alley kind of watching us shoot, and so basically
he was watching it the entire day, and he didn't ask a single question. It's just two guys in like wizard costumes going, ugh.
Dude, in his world, that's normal. He was like, yeah, that's fine. He's okay with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, not every video is a video like that. We have videos where we'll spend like 2 weeks doing pre-production, and then we'll shoot it for like 3 days, and it'll take us 4 weeks to do the post-production on. And that's kind of the beauty of doing YouTube, is that we get to kind of go back and forth, because we'll make pieces that we know are going to go viral, that we want to go viral, the pieces that are going to pay our rent and buy us food. Like for example, the cat video that we just put out a few weeks ago. That's like one of those like, yeah, this should go viral. I think this will be good for a little while. But then we'll have other videos that are, I guess, more of an experiment for us, because, like I said, Sam and I have goals of moving into film and moving into television and that kind of stuff. And that's something we're not going to be able to do unless we take the time to learn how to tell a story, to learn how to work with actors, to learn how to work with a crew. And so we try to challenge ourselves with each video to do some sort of aspect of that. Like for example, the Far Cry video we put out in the spring, or in the fall. That was a challenge of working in actual like camera gear and shooting with a jib and shooting on a dolly and working with a lighting director to help us light the scene. Or for example, the Assassin's Creed video, we had this whole setup with the British troops with, you know, I guess we have dialogue that we need to write that's, you know, in a period style. Or, you know, another great example is Tether. I mean, we're trying to develop Tether, which is an idea we've been working with for now. We've been trying to develop a web series or film or some other long-form narrative with that piece. And that's an example of us just going out and actually trying to write a script and trying to find actors and to shoot this piece. So little by little, we work in all these little building blocks that we need to actually create a film to tell a story. And over time, as we keep making these YouTube videos, we just keep refining those skills more and more and more until it puts us at a point where we can have the confidence to go out and actually take $10 million and not just squander it on something. Like explosions, lots of explosions.
One giant hour-and-a-half long explosion for $10 million. I think
like the world's biggest explosion.
So obviously, they have a behind-the-scenes channel, which if you guys haven't watched, you should definitely be checking out, where they explain a lot of their effects. And you know, they take you through how to do things. But there's a question, I'm always bugging them. I go, hey, I've got a question, you should make a video about this. I'm sure everyone want to know. But there's a question I've never asked you guys that I want to ask, and then I think, unless you guys have something else, we should probably open it to the floor for questions from them. Both of you individually, what is your favorite video you've made?
That's a good question. Sam, you go first.
I think it's the Footloose one, because we did like Xbox motion capture, like miniature guys, that it's really hard to explain if you haven't seen it, but that's my favorite. I think it's also our most disliked one.
Yeah, it's our most disliked video.
It's got the worst rating of all the videos, but a lot of people saw it, so someone's got to like it.
Yeah, I mean, our sense of humor is one that's a little more irreverent. Like you saw from that video, like we actually like to get a little weird with the effects that we do and the shooting that we do, because there's just something really funny about being able to like take these really high-level visual effects and that are shot with a really expensive camera and run through this really like professional workflow, all with the intent of making something that's really strange and kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of our sense of humor.
Yeah, just someone screaming at the camera with like googly eyes. It's like, yeah, that's very tasteful cinema. So.
Okay, Nico, your favorite video?
I think my favorite video, I mean, maybe it's not my all-time favorite video, but I really liked Headhunters, which is the Medusa piece that we made this summer. I really like the music, I really like the style, like the Indiana Jones style. And I really like the way like the whole statues like crumbling came out. But actually it didn't get that many views. I think it has like 700,000 views still. Where most videos on our channel have like 1.5 million. But that's one of my favorites actually.
Yeah, actually, that was one of my favorites, the Headhunters one. I like Dubstep Guns. You know, old
So does the rest of the internet.
Yeah, it's amazing, one of the best videos. Right, cool. Anything else you guys want to say before we bring it open to the audience for questions? About that time.
No, man, I'm really interested to hear what questions you guys might have, and I really appreciate that everybody came out to listen to us talk about our channel. It's a really cool experience getting to be here and getting to do this.
All right, so let's do this. Does anyone in the audience have a question that they'd like to? Oh, you got a guy right up there. Go for it, dude. I'll try and hear you from here. Yes, that's not going to happen. Hold up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
I was about to say,
can we get another microphone to this guy? Can someone do that? If not, yeah, we can. Okay, we're going to get you a microphone. That's going to happen. So,
Nice.
there we go. It's coming across to you now.
Yeah, go get it.
Everyone else that's in the audience, I'll take this moment. If you've got a question that you want to ask, have a think, make sure you get it ready, and then we'll come through, and then we'll pass the microphone to you. Thank you, Braden, about that. All right, dude, give it a go.
Hey, so what other programs do you guys use? Because I saw you had Adobe Premiere up. Like, what other stuff do you use for the CGI, like editing and that sort of thing?
Okay.
Pretty much.
Hey, let's just run through the whole list.
But yeah, let's just.
So let me just rephrase the question just in case anyone didn't get it. So the question is, what other programs do they use apart from Premiere to do their VFX?
Yes. So just to lay them all out there, just super technically, for editing, we use Adobe Premiere. For all the compositing, motion graphics, junk like that, we use After Effects. For all 3D modeling, animation, stuff like that, we use Autodesk 3ds Max. For like camera tracking and like recreating, 3D environments from our footage, we use Buju. To do the googly eye effects, such as like placing objects on people, we use PF Track. And I use Logic for all the music.
And then Adobe Audition for all the sound.
And I've started to use Audition for all the sound design, even though a lot of professional sound designers would snub their nose at that.
Audition.
No.
And then we also use DaVinci for color grading. And real quick, a couple good plugins too. Fume Effects lets us do smoke and fire in 3ds Max. We used to use Rayfire. We still use it occasionally, but we're trying to get away from it. Rayfire lets us do like things crumbling and destruction.
Yeah, but it corrupts your project files.
Yeah,
we lost like 6 hours on this project this week because of it.
Yeah. And then in After Effects, we'll use things like Magic or Red Giant makes a lot of great plugins. Their Key Correct plugin is fantastic, helps us get good green screens, and some other various trap code pieces, things and stuff like that.
Awesome. Does that cover everything for you, dude? Brilliant. All right, guys. Next question. Okay, so we got a kid here, and then we'll get you. So go for it. This guy over here. Thanks, Braden. It's like running over there. Make sure you hold the microphone close to your mouth.
Can you subscribe to me?
Dude, you're gonna have to tell him your YouTube channel. So, one of the biggest problems on YouTube is if you don't tell him you got a channel, it's gonna be difficult. What's the channel?
COOLVIDEOZZZ9.
Okay, give that again. That's COOL.
VIDEOZZZ9.
Okay, perfect. We're writing that down right now. There you go, buddy.
Nice.
Awesome.
Sure.
All right, guys, we got a question for this guy, Braden. You have to run over this way. Sorry, buddy. Thank you, Bray.
Hi guys, I make like little short films on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Joel.
Bring the mic closer.
Yeah.
Speak right into it. Oh, not that close. There you go.
You broke it.
Is it dead?
Take your hand out the top.
Off the top. There you go. Speak down.
Hello. It's going back.
There we go.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, well, I have a YouTube channel, Joel Planet Media, and I do a lot of VFX-based, like little short, fun films like you guys do. And I use DSLRs to shoot on, and I was wondering, do you guys still use DSLRs, and do you think you can still get a professional look using?
That's a good question. So the question is, he uses DSLRs. Do you still use DSLRs to film? Can you get a professional look from a DSLR?
We don't use DSLRs that often anymore, mainly because we have a camera that's essentially, it's our dream camera. We're shooting everything right now on the Red Scarlet. It uses Canon lenses. I'm going to back up for a second. I'm going to cover the camera stuff here.
Yes, we use DSLRs, but not usually for like our main channel videos. We always have one on hand when we're shooting like behind the scenes stuff because they're small and they're really useful. So
DSLRs are the best bang for your buck out right now.
Yes.
That or the Sony FS100, which is like a DSLR with like a video camera body. DSLRs are great. One of the best things about DSLRs is the fact that you get to use nice lenses. And right now, Canon makes some of the best lenses that are out there. Everybody has them. So if you can't afford a high-end lens, that's okay. You can buy used lenses and get a great deal on them. There's a huge market for lenses. And your footage and your camera is only as good as the glass your light is passing through. So lenses are a very important factor. Right now, we shoot everything on the Red Scarlet. Before that, we were shooting on the FS100. Before that, we were shooting on the Sony EX1, the Panasonic HVX, and occasionally like a 60D or a 7D and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yes, DSLRs are fantastic. And in all honesty, pretty much any camera out these days is 10 times better than the cameras we were using 6 years ago. So, yeah.
Perfect, cool. All right, next question with this guy over here, Gears of War 3 chat.
How's it going? When y'all are coming up with y'all decide y'all want to film a new video, like what is y'all's thought process on how to go about that? Like, do you see something on TV or in a movie that's kind of funny, and then you like bounce ideas off of each other, or you just like sit down and like, you know, trying to come up with ideas? What is your thought process and how to come up with new videos?
So the question I think he's saying is, what's your thought process on where the ideas come from? So how do you guys go from, are you inspired by TV or media or what happens?
I mean, it can be, I mean, it's anything, but I mean, it comes down to like a single tiny little thing that we think is cool that has the potential to become an entire video idea. And a really good example of that is like over the last few months, like especially like the end of last year, myself and Nico and our friend Clint, who was in that video, we're doing a lot of archery, and we were getting into it really hardcore, and we were saying, let's just make a cool video with archery. No context, nothing. And it starts evolving. Okay, well, if we're gonna make a video about archery and shooting bows and arrows, what is like the coolest thing we can do to integrate that? And we were thinking, okay, well, like Link uses a bow and arrow in like Zelda, so let's just make a sweet like Zelda video. And so we shot one like 2 weeks ago that we're working on right now. And it's just basically us, or it's actually Clint plays like Dark Link in it. But since we've been practicing archery so much, you know, we know how to handle, you know, the idea. We've been shooting arrows, we understand it, and we've all had a lot of practice in it, so we can make it look good on screen since we're, you know, pretty familiar with shooting. And so that's pretty much the process that we kind of go through.
Yeah, there's a step like Sam was saying. First, you kind of just had this core interest. Like, what if we put googly eyes on footage? What if we made a video with kittens? What if you made a video about bow and arrows? And then you want to try to give it context.
Yeah.
What if you made it, so it's a Zelda video with Link shooting bow and arrows. What if the kittens are fighting little tiny gremlins? What if, you know, etc. But so after we kind of get that core structure laid out, then it just becomes a normal, like, a writing job where it's, okay, I need to give this video an introduction. I need to give it a conflict. I need to give it a resolution. Which is, at the end of the day, that's kind of the process that you fall back on. And that actually requires a lot of practice to figure out different ways you can make a video resolve or make a scene interesting. But that's all just classic writing, whether it's comedic writing, dramatic writing. It just basically, you know, that's classic writing. You just take that initial twist, whatever your style is, whatever you like, whatever, you know, your ideas are, figure that out, apply cinematic writing to it or whatever style you want to make, and then create the final product.
Cool, perfect. All right, while we were doing this, I just remembered one of the first times I saw Sam do archery in the Nightmare video, and what happened with the arrow. In joke. All right, next question. All right, this guy here has been sitting basically right here, so you afterwards. We got the guy in front of you first. Go for it.
First of all, Minnesota represent. There you go.
Yeah.
One of the things is making a living on YouTube. If you're setting a goal, what are those view counts you're looking for consistently or by average on your videos?
Gotcha.
So, it's a little bit quiet there. Just
if you're trying to make a living on YouTube, what kind of goals would you want for view counts?
There we go.
Now this can vary, like if you're purely living off your view counts, because sometimes you get sponsorships and brand integrations and that kind of stuff. But if you're purely living off your view counts, for one person by themselves to effectively pay the rent and buy groceries and be able to buy a video game once in a while, you're probably looking at 2 to 2.5 million views a month. To start running a little bit of a business, like we have a team of 2 with a couple, actually we have a team of 3. We have a producer, who also helps us out with a lot of stuff. And Sam and I do pretty much all the video work. And then we have a couple other people that'll help us out here and there. We have a guy that helps us out with behind the scenes and stuff like that. Then you're starting to look at like 7 million views a month, maybe 6 million. But it can definitely fluctuate. And sometimes you'll get a project that comes along where it's a sponsored video, and that suddenly pays your bills for the next 3 months and gives you some freedom to actually put some money back into your videos and do some crazy stuff. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with our video, The Glitch, but that video came out in December and just happened to hit the front page of YouTube right when everybody was basically home for the holidays, and it stayed on the front page for a week. So it's our one video that's gotten the most views in the shortest amount of time. We got 12 million views on that video in 1 week, and we've never had any other video do that. So that video has effectively paid our rent for like 2 months. But you want to try to average between 50 and 150,000 views a day. If you can do that, you're good.
Perfect. Next up, the guy behind you.
Are you ever going to do a web series idea like VJHS, but with your Tether idea or any other ideas you have?
Potentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did a web series last year called Sync, and it was a really good experience. A little rushed, so, you know, but I'll let it speak for itself. But, like, our immediate plans are to actually try and continue that Tether series that we started. We've actually got some other ideas. So it's rather than just doing like, you know, a web series for it, like why not like kind of balance it out? Why not like try and make like something that's like part online and part offline? You know, like try and like combining the mediums, because like we obviously have a YouTube channel and we've built an audience, and it would be stupid for us to try and like switch to something else where we didn't have that built-in audience, you know, because if we can upload a video and immediately have a bunch of, you know, our audience, like, they get to enjoy it right there, why would we want to, like, do a TV show where it's harder for them to find it, or a movie? So it's like, we're trying to figure out how to take those bigger ideas and have them, like, truly integrate with our YouTube channel. And so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, the biggest challenge for us is, while web series are great and they're very accessible, it's hard to get a budget off a web series or pay your budget back.
That's the main thing.
What we really need, honestly, the next step for us is to get content, to make content that's compelling enough that you guys would be willing to pay for it. Until we can make a piece where, not just you guys, but ideally another million people would be willing to go out and spend $5 on it, that's where the real like goal lies. And we have to figure out how to get there. Whether it's traditional or something new, I'm not sure.
And the only, and specifically like that web series Sync we made, the amount of money that was put into it versus the amount of money it actually made through like ad revenue online you can't even compare it. Like,
yeah, luckily Google funded it, so it didn't matter if it made money or not.
We couldn't even have shot like the first episode. So yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. There's a gentleman behind. One more time for one more question. You had a question, right? This guy. Perfect. And then we'll just do a quick outro.
Yeah.
Okay. So I work in high-end visual effects, and I appreciate you guys mention all these kind of professional tools. But I often hear that production quality doesn't matter on YouTube. So what do you think about that?
Okay, so does production quality matter on YouTube?
Yes and no. It depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Yes. Production quality matters, but what matters a lot more is your idea. Because YouTube is made up of basically everybody. People aren't going there to necessarily see professional content, they're going there to see good ideas. That said, there's a niche that is not filled on YouTube right now. There's very little dramatic narrative, there's very little high production quality content. The reason for that is that YouTube does not necessarily net people a lot of money. There's a lot more money in television, there's a lot more money in film. So you're not really seeing that kind of production quality on YouTube. So that's where, but at the same time, because there's that gap, that's where channels like ours step in to try to get an audience, because nobody else is necessarily doing that. And our strategy has been to figure out a way to get that production quality without this expense that comes along with it. So it is important, but there's also many other things that people go to YouTube to see.
All right, guys. Well, thank you ever so much, guys. Thank you for coming and attending the Corridor Digital Talk at South by
everybody.
Woo! Sam and Nico.
We'll be over there by that yellow thing if you guys want to come say hi or take a picture or something. So see you guys over there.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.